hoping we have just one more minute. And actually, we'll go ahead and get started with there's no reason why we can't do that. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started with the testimonials, just in case there's anyone here. First of all, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy summer. Is everyone enjoying this summer? Oh. Yes. We need you to do that intentionally, like seek joy, be well, get around good people that have good energy, that love you, and love them back. Give lots of hugs and eye contact, listen to good music, eat raw food. You know, just do it. Okay, so we still don't have a quorum, but we are going to go ahead and open up the meeting in case we have anyone here that is for our testimonial period. This is a period where we invite residents from the community to share their experience, their Black experience in Evanston, to share their own case of reparations, whether it be their case for reparations, or if you want to share any of your thoughts and feelings about the work that's being done. But more than anything, we want to continue informing this process, strengthening our case so that we can continue our work beyond the initial 10 years, that we can expand our commitment beyond its current state, and that our community is watching and that they can hear how they might serve in their institutions and bring repair as it relates to Black harm in Evanston. Is there anyone here for a testimonial period? Mr. Rodney Green.
Yeah. My name is Rodney Green. I'm in the 5th Ward. My name is Rodney Green, and I'm in the 5th Ward, been here since 1988. But my experience here with your reparation, I just want to compliment you on your jobs you're doing so far. I appreciate all that you're doing and trying to correct some of the wrongs that were done during the time that you have set for giving back to the community, those that historically were redlined and all the other things like that. I just want to say that with that, I am still trying to figure out how the process is going on. I just want to know what's going on with the initial applications, because some of the, at least with my wife's family, who's been here since that time, I'm trying to figure out when the idea of letting them know that even they have been accepted or approved, even though all the documentation is put in. I just want to know how it stands right now, and then how the process made to decide which families receive the funds and how soon those funds will be available. Right now, I think it's great that the money is there. As for using cannabis sales, I don't think you want to go with that, but that's one of the things part of the process as well. But I think that once we all get involved and understand what's going on, how to put in applications, how to show your documentation, then everything will be done better. With that said, just want to say again, thank you for all the time you put into this. Keep up the good work. I'm here to support you, and I will keep my eyes on you and make sure you're doing the right things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk Green, for that. And I think we'll answer a lot of the questions in the meeting. And also know that every quarter our committee meeting is actually a listening session, which we will also share information and updates as well. We officially have a quorum. So today is Thursday, August 3rd. Welcome to the Reparations Committee meeting. I am opening this meeting. And we will start with also welcoming our online guests. Do we have any committee members in the virtual space so I can recognize them? Okay. If we could go ahead and start with our elder, Mr. Carlos Sutton, if you could read our ancestral acknowledgement.
Thank you. Thank you. With great humility and deep gratitude, we honor the strength, endurance, and sacrifice of our black ancestors. We honor those enslaved African people whose forced labor was exploited for generations to help establish the economy of our region and the United States. We honor those black ancestors who persevered despite discriminatory laws and practices that created a racial caste system, legitimized anti-black racism, and continue to plague our community today. It is only by recognition and understanding of these errors begun during our nation's origins and continuing today that we can hope to correct our path. We acknowledge this exploitation of not only our minds and labor, but of our humanity. We grieve for those black ancestors who, despite their contributions to the city's wealth and freedom, were never recognized, fairly compensated, nor allowed to fully realize their own sovereignty. Because of their work, we are here and will invest in the descendants of that legacy. And through this process, we will work to repair some of the harms caused by the city of Evansville. We also hope our focused attempts at reparation will serve as an example to the United States government and prompt other institutional accomplices to begin the process of repair.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. And thank you to Committeewoman Attorney Claire McFarland for writing. Next, we have agenda item number 2, approval of the minutes. I move approval.
Second.
Is there any discussion? With no discussion, all in favor? Do we need a roll call? Pardon? Okay. And this is approving items 2A, B, and C for meetings March 16th, April 6th, and June 1st. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting minutes are passed. Next we have for discussion 3A, our working group updates. And we have working groups. This is a place for you in the community really to come and lead reparations alongside us. Our work is not complete with the restorative housing program, and we're hoping to get more input from the community. We have 3 committees or working groups, and I'll ask that each of those working group chairs will give any update. And I'll start with Committeewoman Lockhart.
Good morning, everyone. The Housing Working Group did have their second meeting in July, and it was really our first meeting because we had such a large group, a large amount of interest. And so we're in the process of just determining which things we want to look at and identify where we're going to go forward. We will be coming forth with a report.
Do you have anything to
Oh, our next meeting is August 17th at 6 p.m. here in the City of Evanston building, 2nd floor.
Good morning. I have 2 committees. Can you hear me okay? Okay. 2 committees to report about. So first was a community unity committee. We did have a meeting. Unfortunately, we didn't have, we had some different last minute cancellations. So we had less than half the committee show up. So it was kind of an introductory meeting and brainstorming. But we really have to have our next meeting. We have to replace a couple of people who had volunteered for the committee, have moved outside of Evanston, etc. I have to stop and acknowledge
Yes.
our big comment. Corporation counsel. Very special to have him with us at the meeting today, and more about that later. So we're very excited about an opportunity also that has come and that dovetails very nicely with the proposed work of the Community Unity Committee, and that is that the Buffett Institute has approached the Reparations Committee, and they're doing a project on epistemic reparations, and they're proposing to, work with the committee. So we're shaping that, and we also had another meeting, not a separate meeting, reaching out to different people in the community that we thought would be appropriate for helping us with the communication, helping us to shape that so that we can take control of that, and that's truly an Evanston project. So some people, epistemic reparation, it's not a word that we commonly use, but it's sharing our experience, and the project is based on the truth and reconciliation process that happened in South Africa. So Evanston will be one of the communities that they are including in the project. We've had some discussions and meetings about that. Very excited about that opportunity. Still have to see if it will work out properly for us. And then the other meeting that I want to report on is economic development. That we had a very full and eventful, I think it was a very promising first meeting. We were introducing ourselves. We have a lot of, thank you so much to the people who have volunteered. We have a lot of skill and talent from the community that have volunteered. And people, in addition to the introductions, came to the meeting with some very full plans and ideas. Particularly, we want to thank Mr. Bennett Johnson, who's here, who has frequently talked about his ideas for reparations, and we're very happy on that committee that we have the opportunity to flesh out some of portions of his plan at the very least, and to have his expertise and experience. So moving forward with that. We are changing the time for the community unity meeting because we had so many scheduling issues, so we don't have a set time for that yet. Thank you.
The educational working group met on Tuesday, so I'll allow my intern who staffed that meeting to talk. She's online. Dami, you could go ahead and give an update.
Hi, Darnella. So the last meeting was this Tuesday, and we had Henry Wilkins come from STEM Evanston and speak sort of about their organization, what they do, about the how they helped with the school opening in the 5th Ward, and how they focus on STEM education. He also talked about a survey that was recently done called Amplifying Black Voices, about what do people in the community want to see for education for Black Evanstonians. So once we get some of the summary from that report and speak more with different people from Mr. Wilkins' group, we'll go further in discussing the main goals and initiatives that want to be done at the education group.
Thank you. I want to recognize Committeewoman, Councilwoman, excuse me. No, what is the new council member? Chris Harris. Did you want to add to that update that was given?
Good morning, everyone. First, let me begin by apologizing for being late. My mom's back car was shattered last night, and when your mom calls for me, I changed my schedule, so I apologize for being late. But yes, we have had 2 meetings. We're very excited about the tenor in which we will move forward and understanding what repair, reparations, and how we can work with the entities that are in the community that are part of that repair. So that's Northwestern, Oakton College, D65, 202, parents, the community. How do we create an environment in which we wrap around and work not only with our youth, because that kept coming up, oh, what are we going to do for the kids? We have adults that we owe repair to that may want to reinvent themselves. COVID presented an opportunity for us to change some of the trajectories of our adults. So she did a great job of saying what has happened. Thank you.
Oh, you all on the same committee?
Yes.
Okay, nothing to add?
Nothing.
Okay, perfect. Moving on, thank you all for your hard work, and thank you to the community that's been showing up to participate. Next, we have 3B, Chair Nominations. Ordinance 102-020 requires adoption of the commission must annually elect a chairperson from among its members. And that's what we'll do right now. I've been serving as a chair this last year since I retired from city council. And next we have AC. We will need someone to nominate and discuss a committee chair.
I nominate Robert Simmons to continue as committee chair. I think that the work that you've done to bring us thus far has been wonderful. It's a wonderful complement and continuation of our previous chair, Mr. Peter Braithwaite, that I want to recognize here. And it's a wonderful foundation that he's laid, and you continue that on. And I also feel that your work that you do professionally outside of the committee helps to inform us and bring us information about best practices of other local groups. So I nominate.
Second.
Would you accept?
I accept the nomination. Voice. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? I accept the nomination, and I'll tell you that I never thought there would be anything more satisfying and fulfilling than serving as a Fifth Ward Alderman, and this role has been that. So thank you to my committee colleagues for your faith in me, and thank you to the community that has been patient with us as we've been learning along the way and implementing. And we hear you. We hope that the changes and adjustments to the program is evidence that you are heard and valued. So thank you. Moving on. (3D) reparations funding disbursements. And Tashik, do you have a report on that? Thank you.
So as of August 1st, staff has met with 76 ancestor recipients, meaning 76 grants have been distributed. I just got a couple more in my email, so it's probably over 80 now. So if you look on the back of the report, you'll see a breakdown of the benefits the ancestor recipients chose. So for cash benefit, 22 recipients elect that benefit, 17 for home improvement, 13 for mortgage assistance, 4 for mortgage assistance and home improvement benefit, 2 for mortgage assistance and cash, and 1 for home improvement and cash benefit. We do allow our recipients to split their benefit up.
This is really exciting news. We were at 16 for like 10 years, it seemed like. So thank you to Sheik for your direction of staff, the interns, the staff that came over from the library, finance, Director Thompson. Thank you for getting the ball moving again. A couple of things that I want to add is that we requested the committee that this not be an ordinary disbursement. So the recipients are either receiving their benefit in the way of check, hand delivered by city staff, or they have the option to come in and receive it. Are they coming to the city manager's office? Or they're coming directly to the city manager's office. So it's a very personal touch and experience. I also wanted to share a little bit of feedback I've been hearing from the community that I think is valuable and really affirms the initial program is that I've met some residents that have opted for cash or part cash, and it's still been with the intention of doing a home improvement, but it's been to accelerate that and not have to go through a process. I see some shaking heads in the back, some heavy shaking heads in the back. But know that there is still a need. So any organizations that are in the space know that this particular remedy is in high demand. Is there any other discussion from the committee on the disbursements? Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item. Which is 3E. Do we have a presentation from Environmental Justice Efforts? Perfect. Welcome. Are they here in virtual? Oh, wonderful. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
Hello everybody, my name is Marlene Odia, or Marlene, and I'm the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Fellow working at the Sustainability and Resilience Division. So Kara Pratt is our coordinator, Ben Morton and Kristen Dragable is our specialist. So today I have a presentation for you guys, and I'll be presenting the City of Evanston environmental justice efforts that have passed or are currently on the way. So I'll be talking about our climate action and resilience plan, our environmental justice resolution, our environmental equity investigation, and our green homes pilot. So first, I also wanted to give a quick definition of environmental justice, which is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of color, income, or race, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, policies, and regulation. So our Climate Action and Resilience Plan, or CARP, was adopted in 2018 to create a climate action plan, which calls for carbon neutrality by 2050, zero waste by 2050 as well, or 100% renewable energy by 2030, among other climate goals. Most importantly, it also calls for an environmental justice ordinance, which led to the adoption of the resolution to support environmental justice. So CARP is also a testament to Evanston's commitment to equity and sustainability, as they would like to approach the implementation with an equity lens, as we all acknowledge Evanston's history of, discrimination, social inequities, and institutional racism. So the Climate Action and Resilience Plans would like to make Evanston the best place to live while being fair to everyone. Next, I'm going to be talking about Evanston process for the local assessment of needs. It's also called E-Plan. The E-Plan is a community-oriented health assessment that gives background on the effect of disparities in Evanston. And he had 3 top priorities, which was promoting racial equity, enhancing emotional and mental well-being, and strengthening climate resilience. So, can we? So the E-Plan basically shows how health and quality of life are not equally experienced across our community. And this is illustrated on this map. On the right, you have the 1930 redlining map. And on the left, you have the life expectancy study that was done in the E-Plan. So as you can see, the red line areas have the lowest life expectancy throughout Evanston. So this is just to show how, you know, Evanston history shaped a lot of residents' health. So the E-Plan will basically developed action plan that will significantly improve the health of Evanstonians. Next, I'm going to be talking about the EEI, which is supposed to help implement the environmental justice resolutions and address the E-Plan. So the city is allocating $100,000 to fund the EEI, and is currently seeking consulting support. So the EEI will assess current policies, so city plans, programs contributing to environmental inequities in Evanston. It will engage with the communities by centering community members' experiences, knowledge, and expertise. And it will also consider climate resilience for long-term sustainability. It will provide recommendation. It will receive support from Environmental Justice Evanston, which many people are familiar with because they do conduct public forums, listening sessions where people can come and share their stories. And it will also have tangible long-term and short-term solutions to address gentrification, housing affordability, and environmental inequities. So the exciting part of this is the narrative storytelling, which I'm currently working on. It's a commitment to meaningful engagement and a reminder to remain committed to addressing environmental injustice beyond just the EI. And it will basically inform policy and practice by amplifying, community voices, and just humanize the investigation to provide context of the impact of inequities across Evanston. So I'm currently collecting these stories, and I've already spoken to Rodney Green, who's here with us today. And so I'm currently collecting stories up until August 11th, and you can go to the next slide. And this is just a flyer that I'm going to be passing around in a second. And feel free to contact me. My contact information is on the flyer, so I'll be passing it around. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, you can move on to the next slide, is our Green Homes Pilot program, which is a program that provides no to low cost home improvement to homeowners and landlords in the 8th Ward and 5th Ward, so the areas that were historically underinvested and redlined. It will help a lot of residents lower their utility costs and also meet the City of Evanston carbon neutrality goals highlighted in our CARP plan, the Climate Action Resilience Plan, by 2050. So these are improvements that include new electrical systems, flood prevention, better installations of windows and doors, lead pipe replacement, and rooftop solar panels. And yeah, this is what I had for you guys today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us.
Good morning. This is wonderful. I'm just wondering, is there a timeline for your environmental equity investigation? And do you have any status update for that? And then how do you apply for the Green Homes Pilot?
Yeah, I'm gonna have Kara provide that information, right?
Thank you so much, Marlene, for that presentation, and thank you for having me. I'm Kara Pratt, Sustainability and Resilience Manager. Our environmental equity investigation request for proposals was advertised about a week ago, and proposals are due August 22nd. So it's a traditional city bid process. So the information is on our website. The length of the investigation we anticipate to be about a year.
That's before the application's open. Application.
Oh, for green homes.
No, she also asked about the green homes.
Oh, so Green Homes is open now for an eligibility check. And so then the Evanston Development Cooperative has a list, or sort of a wait list for folks as they work through the audit process at the homes. And so if you go to the Green Homes website now, you can check eligibility. And the intention of the Green Homes program is to eventually expand citywide.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions from the committee? Thank you for your presentation.
So, just for clarification, so then are the applications for the Green Homes project rolling without a deadline where there's a cutoff? Is there a deadline date for cutoff, or?
At this point, there's no deadline for cutoff. We are in a pilot stage, and so the intention of the pilot is to fund 50 housing units with ARPA funding over the next 2 years. But the intention is to have funding for that moving forward. So no one who would apply would be completely rejected. It would just be a waiting period, or not at this moment, but eventually we would look into funding those projects.
Thank you.
Oh, so we're going to jump ahead to the next, thank you so much. We're going to jump ahead to our next agenda item, and we have a distinguished guest in the virtual space. We're going to ask him to speak first, and then we have a lot to say here in the Parasol Room to our Corporation Council. The great judge. He's not? Oh, we missed him. Might he step back in? Or into the meeting? Okay, got it. Okay, so in that case, we're gonna move ahead to item 3E, 3F. So, you all may have received notice that our Corporation Counsel, the brilliant Nick Cummings, is actually leaving the city of Evanston, and he's gonna be moving on. He'll tell us more about that. But we want to tell you, Nick, about how grateful we are for your leadership. And I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm in the space outside of Evanston, and I see now that Evanston has inspired over 100 localities to do something similar to what we have done. And what I am seeing is that Evanston is still the only city that is come up with a viable remedy, a legal framework that works, and is actually dispersing reparations. And I have to give that credit to our Corporation Council. What I'm seeing happen in other communities is the disbursement is being stopped because of an abundance of caution and all kinds of other legal language, but it's being stopped, postponed, delayed, cautioned, and not being dispersed. And so I give full credit to our milestones and our outcomes, to our brilliant, fearless, dedicated, committed, intelligent, dry sense of humor, attorney Nick, I'm sorry, attorney, I don't know what else the Europeans, I have to put that out there. Attorney Nick Cummings, who has said, this is just, these are within the values of the city of Evanston, and we will find a way in our legal department. So Nick, I just want to thank you because you have made our work possible. There's so many responsible, and we would be here all day naming everyone. But in terms of a key role in allowing us implementation beyond apology, beyond this sort of goal of reparations and so on, implementation lands in your office, under your leadership, disbursement. So I want to thank you. We are, gonna have a great loss with you gone, but I'm really excited for whatever is next for you. And I'm gonna just pass the mic to any of my colleagues.
Raise a hand for that.
It should be noted that Robbie wouldn't let me say no.
There is that.
I have particular admiration, lawyer to lawyer, for the work that you do. I think you're always available, incredibly available, and I know this isn't the only, you are corporation counsel for the city of Evanston. You aren't our particular reparations designated person, but you have been that for us. We haven't always been easy to deal with as a committee. And you have diplomatically corralled us. I think that it's amazing the way that you have educated us about our framework and about our boundaries. And when we're trying to press that envelope, you give us clear and considered advice and bring people around. And that's not easy, that's admirable. I don't know if people are aware behind the scenes, the skill and the care that takes. Again, always being so proud and really admiring the way that you've taken us from an articulated goal to actual implementation. And that is really unique and a huge and incredible example nationwide to localities, to states, and hopefully to our government, that this is possible. So we see on the news many other things that have been generated, and that's wonderful. I have particular pride in Evanston that we're actually doing it. And you have also helped us to improve. And, we've done this for all of Evanston, for the committee and for all of Evanston, to consider things that we perhaps didn't consider, to overcome challenges, to identify different areas that we need to look at, and to really explain, to gather counsel where we need to really explain it. So I just can't overstate my admiration. I look forward to continuing to work with you in other endeavors. Attorney Cummings is going to be the next head of Cook County Bar Association, the oldest African American bar association in the nation. So I'll be continuing to work with him on that. So we'll be seeing each other, but as this chapter ends, we're not going to let you, we'll be bothered and continue to bother you, but wishing you every success in your next steps. Thank you so much.
Nick, all I can say, to follow them, I really don't have all of that to say, but I want to say thank you. Thank you for always being available. I mean, you do not have hours that you work. Always being willing to help us with the simplest thing as well as the most complicated, and for your patience. Thank you and God bless you.
And then if those in the virtual space can get ready, Tashik's gonna unmute you if you're here for Nick.
So thank you so much coming from Reparations and from City Council. Being a black man is hard enough, let's be honest about that. And then being a black lawyer, helping lead this charge, I have nothing but appreciation for you. And while we think about Evanston, you've created something that is a legacy for our nation, helped us lay that foundation. So thank you. I got your personal number, so I'm going to keep calling you for legal advice with the city. We need it. But thank you, helping us through a complex situation and providing reprieve to our residents, to our city. So we'll never be able to repay you. Thank you, and plaques and gratitude will never be enough. But knowing in your mind the legacy that you've helped create, hopefully that's just a small portion of thank you that will resonate with you. So thank you.
Your alter ego is now giving you a commendation. but the person who has challenged you in most things, I want to thank you for making me a better member of this community and this committee. Yes, as an ancestor, and yes, as a person in this community, you had the sensitivity and the excellence and the knowledge. Sometimes I thought it was a little bit too much asking us to wait, but I can only justify that we're the only city in America, due to your efforts, that has made any kind of effort to addressing reparations in a positive way. I'm always indebted to you for that, and thank God you're gone, so I'll be the only man out there. I have to think about you half the
And then if you could, the Lord is always on.
Okay, we're gonna let
Alderman Peter Braithwaite, if you could join, thank you for your leadership, sir. Thank you for your excellence, and please, the mic. You need the mic.
I was just gonna shout. To members of the committee, folks in the seat. Where should I sit?
Get him right, let's get, he left the city and I don't know how to.
I did address members of the committee and those that are here first. Brother Nick, just from the bottom of my heart, I enjoyed working with you. I want to echo what everyone else shared. I look forward to staying in touch with you in your professional life and wish you all the best in your future endeavors. See how short? Yeah, he's on. So Lydell John Baptiste is who's member of our past former city council and all the other things he's done. He's on the bench, so he may be chiming in. I'm leaving. Does anybody else have his phone number?
He'll pop in.
He'll pop in and he'll let you know. Thank you. And you left an amazing team behind that will carry on. So for work.
Thank you, Alderman Braithwaite. High five. Alderman Holmes.
Alderman Holmes.
Is he ready? Can he come in? Can you see him? Just go in.
Yes, he's ready.
He's ready. Okay. Judge Lionel Jean-Baptiste, did you enter the room again?
I'm here.
Oh, welcome, welcome. Thank you for your leadership, and we want to give the mic over to you now.
Thank you very much. Well, good morning to the committee for the work that you do, persevering, go from the general call to the specific application, and your work is crucial to make that happen. It's in the practice of the thing that we bring into reality. I want to turn my attention to Attorney Nick Cummings. It was on March 18, 2021, on the eve of the City Council voting on the specific remedy to those who have been victimized by the harm of redlining and other discriminatory practices, that we received a letter that Steve Haggerty and the rest of the members of the City Council received a letter from the law firm of Boyden Gray and Associates, a member of the Federalist Society, threatening to bring legal action against the city and the members of the City Council if we were to proceed with the remedy that the City Council was about to vote on. Their allegation was that this was a race-conscious remedy and therefore it was unconstitutional. Now, the Fearless Society people is the entity that has placed the majority of the conservative Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court of the United States. They've been at work for 40 years. So any inkling of any advances to remedy past racial inequities and discrimination, they're ready to jump forward and block that. And so the allegation that they made was such that without some clear direction and elucidation of the issues to members of the city council, some of them may have vacillated and got intimidated, or Mayor Hagerty might have suffered the same kind of intimidation. But Nick Cummins, as the Corporation Counsel, leading the charge, was not intimidated, he was not scared, he understood all along, he had been telling us all along that we had to be able to establish the harm that was done by past discriminatory practices and to seek to remedy the harms specifically. And so he was able to reach out in collaboration with the rest of us who were at the barricade to the John Marshall Law Clinic from Howard University, ACLU, the Griffin and Strong Law Firm based in Atlanta, and various other members of the Reparations Commission to prepare to respond and to analyze that kind of threat and to respond appropriately. And because his focus was not on himself, but on the movement itself, Nick Cummins was able to respond, able to guide us so that we were able to stand strong in the face of this kind of attack. So this is just one example, and you guys have been working with him all along on many issues, but what characterized Nick Cummins is that he's not scared. And so in our vernacular, he's not scared. He stands on the shoulders of his ancestors, and he understands the moment, and he understands, and as a legal scholar that he is, he understood how to guide us to overcome the obstacles that we face. So, with Nick moving forward to the Chicago Park District and to head the Cook County Bar Association, you will continue to do his work, because the movement is not about position. It's not a question of, for your first 5 years of your career, you do this, you do that. It's a lifetime movement, because our ancestors call on us to remedy the harm that has been done to our people. So specifically in Evanston, the work is it's at the cutting edge of the movement for reparations in the United States. And Nick has been a part of that and will continue to be a part of that, because it's not about a job. It's not about a career. It's about a commitment. It's a lifetime commitment. So once again, Nick, thank you for your work, and thank you for your courage. And you've been, calm under attack. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. Next, Mr. Green, are you?
Yeah, I just wrote something I want to.
Okay, we're gonna have Dr. Neighbors next, and then we'll have you next, and then we'll get back to the virtual space. Reverend Dr. Neighbors of the Great Evanston Branch, NAACP, Second Baptist Church, interfaith leader.
Thank you so much, Robin. Congratulations to your new appointment, and to all of those members who are in the committee and those who are present. I just want to offer a word of congratulations to Brother Cummings for all the work that you've done in the Evanston community. It's one of those unusual things. You work behind the scenes, and there are a lot of people, if you were walking down the road, they would not know the magnitude of what you have contributed to the Evanston community, and particularly to reparations in the United States. I think that's a good thing, because I think that means there's something that is very humble about your personality. I don't know you very well. I understand you have a dry sense of humor, so I learned that just a little while ago. But one of the things that I do know is that you cannot measure a person by how quiet they are. What you have been able to contribute to this community is not only seismic for Evanston, but it is seismic for the United States. As Robin shared, there are over 100 different initiatives that are going on now. I have the opportunity to sort of travel around the country, invited by interfaith groups that are interested in reparations, and all of them are always asking the same question: how was it done? How did you get it accomplished, especially through the city? And we always talk about Robin, but there's always that underlying factor, that hidden, invisible power that is your presence and what you were able to do. So I'm going to go ahead and be a preacher for a moment. I hope that you all don't mind. I didn't have any problem finding the podium, like, you know. I knew exactly where it was. But I want to go on record to say that I believe, I don't know if you're a man of faith, I don't know anything about your background, but I believe that divine providence definitely prepared you in Evanston to do all of the fine work that you're doing, but especially the work of reparations. And now that you have shifted to something that is much larger, and you will be dealing not with 75,000 people, but with millions and millions of people in Cook County, I believe that eye has not seen and ear has not heard all of the blessings that you're going to be able to bestow upon so many people because of the experience that you have been able to do right here in Evanston. And I'm going to close this by saying, I know at least 100 lawyers, and I would say that I like about 7 of them. And some of them don't include members of my own family, by the way. But of those 7, 2 are in this room, and you are one of them and Claire is the other. So I'm grateful to know you, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Mr. Clerk Green.
Now I love to do poetry, and I just sat here for a few minutes and took his last name and made a statement for him that I'll also write down and put in a frame and give it to you when you leave. But it's entitled, I took his last name, Cummings, and I put it this way. C, clearly seeing his goal, U, unifying all for the purposes of the hand. M, manly performing his job beyond time and space. Mending all bridges from past and future, present. Initializing issues that all are involved in. Never letting time and space separate his focus. Granting his expertise to solving difficult situations. Smart, sensitive, and superior in all that he does. These all together, and you have attorney Nick Cummings.
Thank you, Clerk. And we can go back to the Zoom meeting now. Alderman Holmes?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, good morning to the committee, and thank you for the opportunity to share this morning. Chair Ruth Simmons, I first want to say to you that I've been looking at you all morning, and I think about you coming into the Equity and Empowerment Committee and saying, I want solutions only. So I'm grateful for that, and I want to add that solutions only to Attorney Cummings. I didn't have a chance to work with you when I was on the council, but I have watched you because I'm one of those people who As my kid said, I am just wanting to have punishment all the time because I still watch City Council every Monday. But I've watched the way in which you've worked on the council and with the council members. And I have certainly kept tabs on the whole reparations piece. And you have been absolutely wonderful. And I am so grateful for what you have brought to our Evanston community. Evanston is not always easy to work with. But you've managed that, and you certainly have enhanced our community with your talents and with your help in making sure that our reparations or our piece of repair could not be challenged. And that is really, really remarkable. I thank you. We certainly have spoken. I'm like Reverend Neighbors, I don't know you that well, but I certainly appreciate all that you've done for Evanston, and I'm excited for you for your next journey. I'm sure that it will be wonderful, and your mark will always be on Evanston with our reparations program. So thank you very much, and best wishes always.
Alderman Jane Grover.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to the committee for all the work you do for Evanston residents. Mr. Cummings, I want to thank you for your service to the entire Evanston community, and especially for your steadfast work to establish, defend, and pave a way for reparations in Evanston. Reparations are now Evanston infrastructure, and I am so grateful. Thank you for your determination to navigate and eliminate legal obstacles and to make local reparations a reality for our community. We all know that you are an extraordinary public servant, and thank you for your continuing service now with Cook County. Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Cummings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Grover. Dino Robinson.
Thank you for this. I'll try and keep it short. I echo what everybody else has already said. So I just add my thanks for all that you have done in this endeavor with local reparations. Congratulations to you in your new position. And Brother Cummings, I'm just really glad and honored to have been able to work with you on various projects. So continue. First of all, servants of all. You have embodied that, and the community stands to benefit from your work. Thank you.
We have legendary reparations leader, attorney Nkechi Taifa.
Okay, I'm muted.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now.
Oh, thank you so very much. Yes, I am just so very honored just to say just a few seconds of tribute with respect to Attorney Cummings. Early on, I heard Judge Lionel John Baptiste talking about that horrendous letter from the conservative Seaboard and Gray. I looked at that letter, and when I saw it, I said, oh my God, this is going to really be some legal challenges here. But because of the everything that the Corporation Council was about there in Evanston from the very beginning, in seeing the vision of the legendary Robert Booth Simmons and ensuring that he was going to protect as opposed to obstruct the situation in advancing really is what has led to where we are today, where Evanston is history in the making, ensuring that the legal viability of the issue has been heralded and is basically going to be replicated throughout the country. So I just want to thank him. I happen to be an attorney myself. I'm a member of the National Conference of Black Lawyers and the National Bar Association, and part of all of the different reparations groups that are out there. We're looking very closely at what's happening across the country, and we'll be using your genius as part of the model in ensuring the viability of this critical issue. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Attorney Nkechi. have scholar activist Linda Mann, Columbia University.
I just want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to say thank you. As we entered into this space alongside Robin Ruth Simmons, the legal minds that were on this were of great importance. Our project, the Redress Network, collaborates alongside Howard University, and when we were performing the impact study, our eyes were on the legal viability of this. And in our work that we do, we often say it's not necessarily what you do, it's how you do what you do. And for you, Mr. Cummings, to take your legal mind and to work tirelessly to make this a viable and constitutionally sound effort for the people of Evanston is beyond an admirable act. And you should be so incredibly, we should all be so incredibly grateful to you for taking the risk, but for using your legal mind to enact such a powerful and meaningful reparations passage for the people of Evanston. So thank you for not only utilizing your legal mind to do such a valiant act, but for using your legal mind to do such great justice for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda. And let me add, she's actually not just scholar, activist, reparations practitioner, but the co-founder along with Professor Justin Hansford of the African American Redress Network. Learn more about it, redressnetwork.org. And so with that, the committee has something for you. Nicholas E. Cummings, Corporation Counsel, City of Evanston, in grateful recognition of your counsel, legal expertise, and research that enabled the City of Evanston to implement the nation's first local reparations program, members of the City of Evanston Reparations Committee, that includes our staff, Tashik, and the City Manager's Office as well. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
First of all, I have to say thank you. I believe Alex is probably the only one in the room that has understood what I've been dealing with probably the last week or so. And this is really, really filling to have all of you thank me. Meanwhile, I'm just thinking I'm just doing my job, right? I remember someone from the American Bar Association told me the impact that my work was having here and how I didn't appreciate it. And she was absolutely right. Listening to some of the words that you guys have said, again, I just thought I was doing my job. And now I understand fully exactly how I would remember in the city of Evanston. And I really appreciate that. Despite what some others might write, what others might put out in the community, your words here have really resonated with me today, and I really thank you for that. I also want to say thank you to Robin Ruth Simmons, because she refused to let Kimberly Richardson, Tashik, and I not let this happen, right? So we had to succeed because Robin wasn't going to let us fail. So I really thank her for that, to keep pushing us to that. And Pastor Neighbors, if you mind, I'm going to testify for a moment. I shared this with Robin early on in our meeting. I applied for this job in 2018 and didn't get it. And I applied again in 2019 and didn't get it. And I got it in 2020 right after the City Council approved the resolution funding the reparations program. So when you say there's some divine intervention, I got to Evanston when I was supposed to get to Evanston.
That's right.
So she's probably the only person I've shared that with, and now I'm telling all of you. My steps have been ordered, and the talent that I've been provided is always something that I've always wanted to use for the betterment of others. And this was a tremendous opportunity to do it, and I was excited to take the job, just this project being one of the reasons. Judge Lionel Baptiste talked about the threatening letter. We still receive some random threats. Maybe my background as a litigator is what makes me unafraid, but I am very confident that in the work that we have done here, and I'm confident that the work will continue. And I also have to thank the committee and the rest of you for being willing to listen. It hasn't been easy, but at the end of the day, I've learned that you trust me enough that I have all of your best interests in mind. This is not a selfish endeavor for me. I like the background. I like the behind the scenes. I like to be able to walk the streets and nobody know who the hell I am. I like that, okay? But it warms me to know that if I've had a positive impact on those who don't know who I am, I feel much better about that. Lastly, I want to point out to the Evanston community something that is probably lost on all of you and why this is so successful. When people talk to me about Evanston Reparations, the first two things I talk about is the political will to make it happen and a funding source, what we started with. But one of the things that gets overlooked that I've seen other communities struggle with is the willingness to embrace the diaspora of blackness in this community. A lot of other places really want to focus on descendants of slaves. And I understand that. But there are other people here who are not descendants of slaves and are still black and still receive that same level of discrimination and harm. And Evanston has looked beyond all of that. It's in our guidelines in terms of eligibility. It doesn't, you are not required to have a certain background. You just gotta be black. And that's something that Evanston should be proud of, and that what's helped make this successful, okay? In addition to the idea that we will accept an application for anyone who can prove they were discriminated against after the city outlawed discrimination. So those are some successful pillars that I know that will allow this program to continue to be successful. I've already given Alex fair warning, but she has my number, so she can call me. All of you can certainly reach out. I will forever be interested in your continued success. And I really appreciate, again, your warm words today. Thank you very much.
And I left my phone, but City Manager Lusto also did send a message. I'm sure he's going to see you, he'll do it again, but he did, in his message, I specifically remember him noting the award that the law department received for your work on behalf of reparations. It may be broader than reparations, I'm not sure, but it was a national award. Which association was it?
American Bar Association.
The American Bar Association. Under Nick Cummings' leadership, the law department received a national highest award. Thank you. And next we're going to move on to communications. Are we there now? Yes, perfect. 5A. So the Ancestor Acknowledgement Dinner is on October 25th. August 25th. Committee woman Claire is spearheading that effort. If you are interested in volunteering, send an email to Tashik and she will get it passed along as necessary. Do you want to add anything, any details? It will be in the Parasol room again. This is an invitation-only dinner for those that have gone through their intake process. So don't expect an invitation if you've not gone through that intake process. And their families. It's a very special occasion. We have our elected, we have a libation that is done by Dr. Gilo, our own Dr. Gilo, and some other very special moments, very special for that community of ancestors and recipients. Any questions, comments on that? Moving on to 5B, we have our reparations financial report. Tashiki.
So, as of August 1st, it says June and third quarter is August, we received $45,327.22 in donations. We did have a check for $2,000 in July. As to the real estate transfer tax, we have $2,226,615.51 that has been transferred to the reparations fund. $2,226,615.51.
There's a PDF in the packet with those details if you want to have them for your record. And the next we have 5C. We have upcoming working groups. Housing is meeting on August 17th here at 6 o'clock. In what room?
Second floor.
One of the second floor meeting rooms. And education is meeting on September 5th.
Yes, and we are virtual.
Meeting virtually. Do you have a time?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. This information should be, if it's not already, we'll make sure we'll get it on the Reparations website. And with that, we are going to move on to public comment. I believe, Mr. Clerk Rodney Green, did you have anything more? Okay, okay. And then we have Mr. Bennett Johnson. And then next up will be Tina Payton after Mr. Bennett Johnson.
The term ancestors because that implies they're old.
Mr. Johnson.
I think we have to understand something. Centuries, not years, not decades, centuries. This effort for reparations has been going on in the United States. And Evanston, Illinois, under the leadership of this team, has been the first to do it. I think we have to understand and take pride in that particular fact. I have a concept for reparations that broadens the concept and does a couple of things that to me are very important. First of all, I call it the Freedom Plan. And the basic concept is that it should be out of city government. It should be controlled by the black community, totally. 2, it should have what we call a voting trust in each entity. A voting trust is that although you have a corporation or entity, only the board makes the decision. And that's the way it can be controlled. We can prevent intervention and some kind of other problems occurring with it. The elements of this are also very compatible with the economic system that we live in, capitalism. First of all, and I should make it clear that I have done these are not something that comes out of the sky. These are things that I've actually been involved in. First of all, is a real estate investment trust. Real estate investment trust is a group that provides mortgages and anything to do with housing, build new things. It has total broad authority. The other important thing about the trust, about the real estate investment trust, is that it's required every year to disperse the profit. In other words, the corporation doesn't, the trust doesn't keep the profit, but it has to distribute it to the shareholders. So that means that that's even more helpful to the community. The second entity is a venture capital group, a group that provides funds and loans for businesses so that anybody who wants to do business can do business and can go into business. And then you have what I call the Freedom Fund, which is education, health, and welfare. In other words, people may have health obligations or needs. They may have want to go to school or get a career in a certain field. And welfare means that you can spend it like you want to do. So and the point is that each one of these things can not only be sustaining and help people, but it may last for decades if it's managed properly. And of course, with the right kind of supervision and people involved, it will be done. The fifth part of this thing is what we call the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. In other words, people want to talk, people want to complain. Like, oh, when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was play football. And we weren't allowed to play. And I played when I was 12 years old. I was playing with the semi-pros. I mean, not me, grown men. And I couldn't make the varsity football team at any point in my 4 years in high school. Because I was black. There were no blacks on the team when I played. My point being that this is a concept that allows more broad activity, that allows the black community to grow and can be extremely successful and sustaining if it's managed properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next we have Ms. Tina Payton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to congratulate the recipients and the committee for finally doing cash payments. I've been an advocate for the cash payments since the beginning, and I'm glad it's an option now. I read this speech the other day in one of the city council meetings, and I would like to read it again today. Black Lives Matter Way is an honorary street name for Dodge Avenue. What does that name actually mean? Is it just another sign on the parkway? I was at several meetings where white residents told me to shut up. Apparently, I was asking way too many questions at public meetings. I guess they were telling me to get out of the way because I didn't agree with them. I was at another meeting where it was okay for everybody to talk about black people, but when I mentioned white and Chinese people, suddenly I'm a racist. I guess I was speaking the wrong way. By the way, I was at a meeting where Connections for the Homeless received $2 million so construction can be underway for their services at Hilda's Place. Anytime I ask for help from the city of Evanston, where I provide very important services, affordable housing, I'm told, no way. Basically, there isn't an easy way to say that in every which way, the city of Evanston will always look the other way when I'm asking to be treated the same way as white people, non-for-profits, or big developers.
Yes.
And help for me will never be on the way. I guess that's the way the ball bounces or the way the cookie crumbles. I'll have to go to Burger King because they are the only ones that say that I can have it my way. All right. I will be on my way because you will tell me that I am way over time. My last question to you, do Black lives really matter anyway? Thank you.
All right. Margaret Ransom, and then after Ms. Ransom, Vanessa Johnson McCoy. Were you just signing in?
Oh, I just signed in.
Okay, no problem. Mrs. Vanessa Johnson McCoy. Yeah. That's not how that works,
Hi, everybody. Thank you. So good, cool. Of course, I'm just here to say thank you. But since it is Attorney Cummings' last meeting, I definitely needed to come in person to say thank you, sir. I was reminded I'm going to take the baton from Reverend Neighbors of in the Bible, in the book of St. Luke, chapter 17. Jesus is teaching his disciples, and in verse 12, it says that Jesus enters a certain village, and I'm going to change it to Corporate Counsel Nick Cummings enters a certain village, and that village is Evanston. And in this parable, there are teaching, and there are 10 lepers. And if anybody knows, lepers couldn't go into the city. They were like, ooh, stay away from them. And so Jesus actually gives them instructions on how they might be healed. And they follow the instructions, all 10 of them. But there's one that goes back to say thank you to Jesus. And so and that one not only was healed, but was made whole, like totally whole. So I am the representation as the CEC, the self-appointed Chief Executive Cheerleader, to come back and say thank you on behalf of not just myself, the CEC, but yes, everyone who believes like I believe, including my 92-year-old mother, who just had her meeting and said, I'm getting some money. and as well as my son, who's like, Granny's getting some money from the city for reparations. So in my household, they're all excited. She has a whole list of things around the house that she wants to do. And so on behalf of all of us Evanstonians that don't know you, but we want to say thank you. We appreciate all that you have done. And may God continue to bless you in your future endeavors. Thank you. And thank you, committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Shari. That was CEC. And next we have Indana, who's actually here for a testimony. Yeah. But you want to go ahead and do it now? Yes. Thank you, Sister Indana.
Good morning.
For your leadership.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hallelujah. God is good. All right, just really quick. So I'd like to say that I am proud of the work of all of those involved in Evanston Reparations, both elected and volunteers, and the increased acceptance by the public thus far. And you hope that that also means there will be investments in culturally indigenous African and Afro-descendant festivals and fairs to highlight other aspects of who we are outside of slavery and of oppression. We need more festivals or celebrations that are joyous and about life and prosperity, and less about pain and suffering. So I vote to add another fund, as we get more and more money into our reparations fund, for cultural festivals to be held throughout the year, highlighting our diverse Blackness, From Congo to Igbo to our New World cultures of Jamaican and Gullah Geechee, showing that we are more of a diverse people and not just always constantly talking about the negative effects of white supremacy, and showing that we have lived lives outside of what has been done to us.
Thank you for that. And we have one last public comment, and I'm sorry I cannot make his name out. Yeah, not even a little bit. There's some, okay, so we want to start with the online. This is the
Right here. She's here.
Oh, got it. Here?
But I signed up for public comment as well.
Yes, it's public comment time. Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Taylor Darks. I'm from Florida State University. I had the pleasure of doing my master's thesis on okay, there we go. I had the pleasure of doing my master's thesis on Evanston, Illinois, in the reparations movement. I since graduated and now moved on to my dissertation, and I'm doing my dissertation on reparations and identity in Evanston.
Still can't hear you. You have to talk a little louder.
Talk louder. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm doing my dissertation on reparations in Evanston. I'm from Florida State University, and I'm trying to get 25 to 30 respondents. Yes, go Knowles. 25 to 30 respondents, and I have flyers if anybody wants any, but that's the end of my public comment. I really, really appreciate everything Evanston has done for my master's thesis, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much for being here. She'll be hanging out after the meeting, so please do meet with her. And then we have two more, Anthony Swope. Oh, he's in the, yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good morning, Humphrey.
Good morning.
Good morning to all the committeemen in the audience and Mr. Cummings. I guess I've been neglecting who you really are. I'm honored to be in your presence.
I like that.
I sort of really always think the committee got involved in organized labor at a very young age, and I understand the sacrifices that members of any organization or committee have to go through. I repeat my story over and over again, how I came about. Kind of reluctant to say proud, but very delighted because I don't want to get kicked out of, like Bruce, when he got kicked out of heaven because he was a little too proud. But I grew up in a community that I have repeated the story over and over again. It was like the black community of the era that most of the black people live in our community. They had everything. They had high schools, grammar schools, all kinds of businesses, entrepreneurs. You name the profession, whether it was from the legal field to the medical field, just merchants. You had restaurants, anything you can think of that a community needs to thrive. I grew up in that kind of community. When I moved to Evanston over 45, 46 years ago, I was shocked that I was unable to convince a lot of well-positioned blacks who had a good, stable, solid foundation, one for themselves and the community, and was thriving. But they would not invest in the generations to follow. They didn't believe in the generation that was coming up behind them because our younger ones then was too involved in trying to keep up with the Joneses. What makes them feel attracted to one another? Fancy cars, clothes, stuff like that. They didn't want to carry on the legacy of stepping up to continue the work that their ancestors had established for them. And so I kept insisting why, and then before I could get any real solid response, there was other things introduced into the community, like drugs, which devastated the black community more than anything that I can witness since I've been. Now, I say all this to say that I was unbeknown because I got recorded and was placed on Channel 9. Fellow co-workers, union organization members, people in the political field where I used to fly back and forth to DC, you know, as a liaison trying to promote different bills that we wanted to be voted on. They called me and asked me, what's going on, where you at? And I'm trying to tell them about Evanston. And they said, yeah, okay, these are from family and friends. And if I don't take up too much more of your time, I was just trying to tell them how I was very enlightened to be recognized as an Everstonian. Now, all that being said, my wife, I had, God rest her soul, I had a hard time convincing her to get involved in being a recipient of it. Because she was saying she didn't want to feel like a little puppy laying around up under a table and scraps was being kicked off. And then other puppies with her going to be scraping and clawing and fighting each other, trying to get them purpose. And I said, no, it's not like that. She said, no. If you ever hear the old adage about a bucket of crabs, and I got a little irritated with her, and she was trying to explain to me how this community is not like the one that I was raised in. You know, then it was more like city here. I was more like country. You couldn't walk down the street and pass someone, regardless of who they were or what nationality, race, and did not speak. And I was surprised in the communities that I was confronted with. You pass somebody, they look at you like, who are you? You know, and finally I convinced myself that it would be impossible to acknowledge everyone that I meet in such a larger city compared to such a small one that I was. With that being said, I finally got her convinced to let me enroll her into Reparations. And she became known to this committee through me because she passed on before all that could be resolved in how this person, get my tongue tied. I could be let it out to everyone to qualify. And I had blessed fortune to know Alderman Robbins, but I did not realize who it was that I was talking to because I couldn't put her with Frida. And I didn't realize that Frida was her mother and another Frida, who was my friend, was her grandmother, my wife's best friend. And when I got that message across to my wife, that's when she got involved. And I say all that, and I'm sorry, I got, if she were here, she would have did this, meaning that I didn't talk to much, excuse me, my friend. But thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Elmore. Rest in peace. Have you spoken yet to she? Okay, perfect. So I'm glad that conversation is happening. And our last public comment is Angela Johnson Lomax. And if Ms. Lomax is not here, Is there any other comment from the committee?
So I'd be remiss if I didn't speak on behalf of the city, as our mayor, our city manager, they're traveling. But we just want to say thank you again for your service, for your tenacity, for making things work, not just this program, but the city. With honor. People want to change that narrative, but with honor. We appreciate that. Evanston, we know we are complex, and we need to own that. We've had a lawyer that has worked hard. We wish you well, and we thank you for your time here at the city. So thank you. I call for the adjournment of the meeting. Is there a second? Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that the August 3rd meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here.